So hello, welcome to Roaring Pixels. I found a little bit of time today to sneak in a quick session, so I thought we will try and finish the pelvis, and depending on the time, we may even proceed to the tail bit. So let's see. To begin with, let's look at some references. With the pelvis, um, a pelvic bone is divided into three main categories. So this is called the ilium, the top circular bit, or iliac crest. And then there's the ischium, which is this bottom bit. And then the one you can see here in the middle, this little bone, the thin one, is the pubic bone. And if we can find a top view, look at my references. I'm sure there's one more. All right, here. So that would be our let me enlargen that. So this would be the ilium, ischium, and then somewhere underneath is the pelvic, sorry, the pubic, and then bridging both sides, this bone here is the sacrum. The sacrum bridges these two sides as well as attach the spine to the rest of the tail. So together, that's our pelvis. And let's see how we can do with these references. I think this might be a useful one as well. So you can see it's a much neater drawing. We can see a bit of the shape of the iliac crest and how this ischium comes out here. So let's see how we get on, and jumping into ZBrush. Okay, it's grabbing my pen. Just give me a moment. Right, so this is where we left off last time. So we should begin by adding another subtool. Let's append a sphere. Let's just actually let's use the insert brush as usual, and this time take that sphere. See how that looks. I don't want them to be attached like that, so let's just go back. Do a nice tiny one. Yeah, like that. And if we just move to our top view, mm, oh, I just also noticed the rib cage that we have is also a bit too wide. Maybe we'll bring that back in a bit. Um, so yeah, we'll do that after we finish this pelvis. So split, unmasked, and now we have these two spheres. Okay, and I'm going to move them in place. So as I said before, I'm only using the top view to understand how wide something should be from the top view. But in terms of the placements, I'm relying more on the side view, just so you know. So yeah, we may move away now. So use this to like scale it so it's more disc-like, and then move it back. I think that's a good start. And from here, oops, sorry, brush size. So I'm going to move this to, just checking if both by mirrored. Yeah, good. That's mirroring. So this is probably what the iliac crest needs, and then we'll attach a separate bone to the rest of it. So now let's just get the clay build up. Also make sure I'm Dynamesh. I am tempted to use Sculptors Pro, but just from my recent experience, it does crash quite a lot, and yeah, I feel like it's really not needed as well in this at this stage. There are times when it's more handy and it's worth the risk, but not when you're sculpting these bones this way, when it's not super detailed or anything. What's happening here? Ah, I'm doing a spotlight project. You see how it's got that detail? That's because I have spotlight project turned on. To be fair, why do we even need the reference? Let's just turn it off. I can turn on the spotlight project, but I don't want to do that. Not at this point. So just sculpting in some details. So the way it looks from the top is that these wings, they're kind of like this. They go inward, and then you dig in from the top, and the bottom bit is it actually comes out when you look from the top, because this is where a lot of muscle latches onto, and we need to give some space for those muscles. And also this bit here, we'll come to like a better version of this, but for now, yeah, let's just say like that. Trim dynamic. Once you've done that, just use trim dynamic to smooth this out a bit. So because this is so bony, it's good. It's good practice to not try and smooth it with the smooth brush, which will just eat away the details. But when you just use the trim dynamic even for smoothing, you can see how it leaves some details like that, which is very organic and bony. So that's kind of what I want to do from all sides, make it look bony, and then we keep adding details to it because we're in Dynamesh. There's no risk. You can always add more detail as required. And so this part is a little bit thin, where it does get a little bit thick in the middle here, because that's the part which attaches to the sacrum. So again, looking from the top, yeah, I think it should look this way. We shouldn't really be able to see this side, but we will be seeing a lot of this side. I'm happy with that for now, so let's keep going. This is one of the fun bones. I always love sculpting a pelvis. It's never really obvious, like how this iliac crest bends and stuff. I can never remember it, so I'll need the help of reference every single time I sculpt this. But it's also somehow most satisfying of them all. I'm adding a little bit of body here because this is the part that goes really, um, yeah, really outward and sort of bulges because there's a lot more. I'm going to check again our reference just to see how much more work. Okay, so that's the middle bit, and this is the bit what goes out. So there's a lot of pulling we need to do. So let's just, so now we're moving into the ischium bit. So although they're like separate bones, I'm just going to do it as one. Uh, might as well turn off auto masking. Oh, masking is it? Surface. So is it? Oh, I can never remember where this sits because it's obviously someplace weird. Like it doesn't say spotlight settings, does it? I think it's samples. Yeah, sample spotlight projection. Why samples? I have no idea. But having said that, there is a way. Maybe I'll do another stream where I do this. We can add some of these to a shortcut, which is how the pros do it. But and I had that button in one of my UIs that I created in the past, which I don't think I have it. It's on some hard drive. I saved the setting, but I don't think I have it on this PC. So I'll have to find the hard drive or create another custom UI for this version of ZBrush. It's funny, I did save it some the last year when I was sculpting, thinking that someday in the future I will need it. But now that I need it, I have no idea where the file is, the UI file. So yeah, so this is an important shape. You see how this sort of does that? So it comes like a curve here out and then goes back in. So that is crucial. We need to just adjust where the top bit goes. I think it comes around like that. But then there we need to pull this bit. In fact, this is not the outermost part, so I have to pull that back in, and then with this part here, let's just mask it off and then invert, so we're not pulling anything else. We could use a little bit more. And something like that. So I don't want them to attach to each other, but come close to. And then from here with the move brush, so here we have a bit of an angle, so they go down this way. I think even the front bit needs to come down, so it's like that. And that's looking okay. Let's just smooth it out here a little bit, and then trim dynamic to properly shape it. And then there's this part that needs to actually go in like that, and then this part is where the leg bones attach. So I'm going to pull some of this out, but maintaining this curve here. So it comes like that to here, and then goes down. So again, here I think we need to give it a bit more body around here, just marking that landmark, you know. So that's the bony bit from the top. So and then it goes a little bit down like a crest, and then it comes up a bit, not up but just straight back. And then there's this bony part here, so that's another bony landmark. And this one actually should curve a bit like that. So from the top view, that looks good. Dig in a bit on the side, scrape it away, and also the bulge here will have, is this the bulge? Yeah, have a little hole like that, but this is a socket for the bone, so I'm going to neatly sculpt it. And here again it needs to come down a bit, so another bony landmark like that, and then it goes somewhat like this. And I think here we should pull this one, shape it a little bit this way, so it's not like a perfect arc. So it's more like this, and then we can push it up a bit. And okay, maybe this needs to be a little bit like that, just dug in a bit. It's yeah, it's like a very organic shape, isn't it? So it's hard to say exactly what goes on in, and maybe every pelvis is slightly different as well. Depends on what the line's been through. But there's general shape, the landmarks they'll never change. The bony bits, those parts where the muscles sit, they're the ones like the iliac crest, and these bones that's we can see from the animal as it walks. That's why I tend to give it a little bit of an exaggeration so I can see it clearly myself when I'm sculpting it. And I'm thinking about it as I sculpt the surface later. This one's a bit damaged. Once again, auto masking, back base, and then you can sculpt it away. The other side seems to be okay. So yeah, and trim dynamic to get some of that going. More trim dynamic. Trim dynamic, it really makes your bones look good. Let me just put that out there. As you can see, there's some bones obviously that I take more care, give it more love than the others. Like if there's any repetitive ones like these, they can be I like to just leave them a little bit plasticky, whereas stuff like pelvis, the femur, and the scapula, yeah, they were taking time because because A, they're fun, B, it's because a lot of the locomotive muscles of a creature rely on these bones. So yeah, so knowing exactly how they are shaped will help you down the line when we're making sculpting the next phases of this. And you can see why I avoid smoothing these and use trim dynamic wherever possible. It just leaves these little accidental details like that, which is very much like how a real bone would look like. And if you just smooth it out, it just looks a bit boring. Okay, I'm doing that again. I'm going quiet because, yeah, that's what sculpting does to you. It's the one time you don't mind being quiet, and it's really hard to keep talking and sculpting. But I want to do it, eventually. I want to get good at doing both, like constantly talking away, explaining every single move while I'm sculpting. So maybe in the future, in my next stream or one of the future streams, I will get better at it because I can understand how boring it can be to watch someone live. Not that you choose to do that, because you could always let me finish and catch up on a recorded stream or one of the time lapses. Because every live stream is, I'll convert those to a time lapse, so you guys can just follow the process, not worry about what I'm saying. Or if you like the slow burn, then obviously watch it in phases a little bit every day. And you may also leave any questions you might have in the comments, and I'll get around to those whenever I can. Because right now there's not a lot of viewership for this channel, so it's very likely that you'll get a response quickly. And I can't say that will stay the same. I do hope it won't stay the same. But someday this will blow up and everybody wants to watch me sculpt for no real reason. Because yeah, you've got to watch people sculpt because that's how it is. Just kidding. I mean, this is not. I'm not doing any of this to sort of, I don't know, make this like my primary income source or anything. I just want to enjoy myself and then share the process with whoever's watching. So, which is why I want to keep these free for as long as possible. There will be content that I will put on my Ko-fi page for sale. Things like the project files, for example, of these. If anybody wants to get it, those won't be free. Those will continue to be priced. But obviously, there'll be like non-commercial licenses which are very affordable. So I'll have to still figure all that stuff out. But for now, let's just focus on getting this done and getting this really up to a nice quality. Yeah, you can already see that this is serving a purpose, right? So let me check my reference. So that's kind of where it is. Maybe this can be even stronger. So this part, yeah, like that. Sometimes when I'm unsure how much I need to continue sculpting, I might just leave it, and when it comes time to do the muscles, we might get a better idea of some of these planes. But I'm pretty much sure that this is good enough. So this plane here and this plane here and that socket there, they're all in good shape. So let's move on to our sacrum. So this is very much like any of our spine bones, but slightly differently shaped because it's doing a lot of things. It's supporting these two huge structures, and then it's acting as a bridge between the vertebrae of the spine and the vertebrae of the tail. So yeah, a really, really important group of muscles. Sorry, bone. Let's begin again using our sphere. Doesn't matter this time if they join together like that because this is a bone that's supposed to be at the center. As long as it's a different subgroup, I don't mind it being like mixed with the the pelvis because to me this is very much part of the pelvis. When I think of the pelvis, I think of sacrum as being part of it. So yeah, I like it to be one group or one subtool. And now I may move this around. I need to think. Oh, sorry, move brush. So maybe I'm going to mask of this and get a rough shape in place, and then let's look at the reference here just to see how big we should make this. Now we need a top view. We can look at some of the work that other artists have done because there's a lot of 3D models as well of a lion. Um, However, I just feel like that will make me. I don't want any of those sculpts to influence the one that we are doing. I want this to be completely my interpretation of the real stuff. So, so I'd rather stick to these anatomy drawings. I don't know why. Maybe I'm barking mad, but it doesn't really matter. But okay. Best thing to do is just search for a sacrum. I think it's called sacrum. So yeah, this is the one. So this is the human sacrum, but does it have like a lion? Does it look any different? Let's see. Lion sacrum. Yeah, I don't think there are many. This is what was happening when I was gathering my reference. I'm not finding the exact one, but I believe we can go back to the previous image, and that's a bison one. Yeah, it's okay. I mean, we'll use the human as one as a reference and tweak it slightly. So basically, the purpose is to use it as a bridge. Like this is a good one. This is a really good one. Okay. You see how that sort of tails through like that. All right, let's carry on. So it sort of does exactly what this one's doing here. So it needs to attach to the one in front, right? And it needs to curve down, goes into the pelvis like that. So that's the main silhouette of it, and then we can get some of those details. It goes at the bottom there as well. So this part here is where we need to figure out exactly how this will attach to the pelvis. Like, unfortunately, my iPad is out of charge, or I could have looked at one of the 3D dog anatomy that I had, because that would be very similar. But we can find one here very soon. You see this one? Maybe look at this. The iliac crest will have something. Yeah, this one here. So that'll give us a top view. Okay, so yeah, it's obviously not this large. I think we may have to bring the crest in a bit. Let's look at some more line references. What about this one? Maybe this. Ah, what's this here? This is horse. Yeah, yeah. So what we need to do, I think this will also help a bit. We need to bring the crest a lot closer and then that will make more sense. Yeah, let's do that, and if required, we may tweak it later. So this here is what I mean. So that will automatically narrow this bone. And shape it. Just using trim dynamic, I'm going to make it look more bony. Oops. Yeah, just make it something that we can work with. Doesn't have to be too perfect, because I'll do like a detailed pass on all the bones once we have the skeleton ready. I think that's how it looks like, more or less. So we need to pull this down a bit, so maybe so it has the same barrel shape like the one in front. Don't mind the crack too much. Oops. Is that a different group? It's kind of annoying this autosave popping up, but I'm too afraid to to not do it. I also think that when I was looking at my reference on my other screen, you probably haven't seen it because it's basically on another screen. So do apologize. I only just realized. Anyway, just to recap, just in case you're wondering, I found the pelvis of this dog here. So, and then I tried to and this one here. So I decided I was going to narrow this and then make it smaller. So yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm still. So you might be wondering what I was trying to show, because I did try and look at a lot of lion pelvis in isolation, but I haven't found anything useful. So I'm using a dog's or horses, and a combination of that and human, like you see here. So from here, I gather the shape how it's supposed to be. You see, so this is what we're doing. We're trying to get this sort of look, and so coming back, something happened. Okay. Right. So as we saw, we have like this sort of thing going on, right? So Something like that would help, I think. So sorry, there's a little spine that goes through here, so in the middle like that. We have these two wings that are attached here. Maybe this sort of shape is a little too much. Maybe this needs to be a little flatter. But I'm going to decide that later. Look at a few more references. But for now, this is fine. This will do the job. It's still very thick from the bottom, so yeah, I mean it works. Whether it's super exact or not, I don't know. But the main parts are there. The one that joins to the spine, and the part that attaches here. Oops. There. And this is the bit that joins to the tail, so it's worth looking at how it does that. So there's a little bit of geometry, very much like the stuff, the bones in front. So what I was thinking is bring it, make it narrow like that, and then give it something for the next set of bones to latch onto, like a flat surface like that, and then cut in the middle. Yeah, and of course there's some like dents that go on there, but I'm not too worried about them right now. The main silhouette is captured. Right, now we can look to create some of these tail ones. So sacral bone is done, and here, does it show anywhere? Okay, not a problem. We'll just do something similar to the sacrum. So we'll duplicate this but make it smaller in length. Even this might be a bit too long, but that's fine. just scale it down like that and like that. Also split this, split unmasked, and there we have our own little subtool. And here there's some shaping to do, so I'm going to go back to my original line reference, not this one, but I think it's the one, not even this maybe, or this might be a good one. Yeah, so that's how I want it. So yeah, this is fairly simple. Now we need to bring this in. So, so it might be worth also to give this bit a little bit of a spine at the bottom to for now, as we are kind of short of references. So I'm just trying to logically see how it would work. So I reckon this is how it attaches to the rest of it, the anatomy. But this won't be as protruding like that, it'll be more flat. This one comes down. There is some geometry that goes down as well. So what we do is we can bring these parts down like that, and then have the spine go up. So then this will now form the the bit that joins to the cartilage and connects with the next set, which means yeah, and the next one also needs to have something like that. I may refine it further once I have better reference of this later. I'm going to do another pass on all of these bones, see whichever ones could use refining. Yeah, this bit needs to be more flat like that. Okay. Okay, now we'll just duplicate these pieces, see how it works. And when I duplicate, it's also best to maybe scale it down slightly. I think the next one down is a little bit smaller, like that. It will make sense because it kind of like a puzzle piece. It just fits to the previous geometry well if you've got the shape right. Also, while it's still masked, hit Control W, and that will just make them two separate groups. I can go ahead and at some point I had a bit of cartilage in between these bones. You see that we left gaps here. That's where some cartilage comes in to act like a cushion. So we will add those as well when we are doing our final checks on this. Okay, let's see where we are with this. Okay, now if you can see, we are going somewhat like that, but actually this needs to be rotated this way. I think the best thing to do is go back here first and let that sacrum guide us. So just making sure it aligns, and then we want to bring it like that, and maybe shape it a little bit differently so it sort of fits there. Okay, we have to make sure that it still connects to the bone in front. Just almost does. And now for the other bones. Yeah, I know at some point we will be changing these to match the rig, because when we rig our model, we would like the tail to be straight. Doesn't have to be exactly horizontal, it could be at an angle, but all these bones will have to be in a straight line when we do the rig in Blender. So, but for now, I'm going to stick to the reference that I have and try and pose it as per that reference. I think my wife is giving me a shout, so if I go silent for a few minutes, it's because I'm responding to the missus. So give me a few minutes. Be right back. Hello, I'm back. Right, so I think the rest of the bones is just a case of duplicating these. But as you can see, when it comes to this part, so we can potentially duplicate this one more time, and then it starts to change shape like that, and then it getting narrower. So yeah, let's do that. So one more of these, and also maybe rotate it because and also shorter like that, and control invert and then control W. So pretty solid start for the tail, where there's not a lot of tapering going on just yet. But with our next bone, we're going to change a few things. Let's align it with the reference. The shape of this is more like a cylinder. So let's frame it. Solo frame. And we're going to carve away with trim dynamic this part and make it more like a barrel. So it looks okay from the top, and so yeah, okay, much more flat. So maybe move it in. I think that's, yeah, that speaks more like it. Yeah, there's still this structure underneath, so maybe we could bring it in like that, and then have like something going like that. Just another bit of spine. So this will be narrow, but we're going to shape this one like a barrel again, cylindrical form, and flat in the middle. Yeah, just here we're going to flatten. So we've got something like that. Now this is ready to be duplicated again. So bring back the reference. Um, we, if you're really anal about it, you can count exactly how many you need. But I'm just gonna eyeball it and just get a few enough in place, because for the tail, well, it's not exactly that important, I don't think, because the muscles are all very evenly spaced, and yeah, they're a bit boring. I want to think about tapering it ever so slightly with each and every one of these. Oh, I think we missed doing that thing with this. Okay. Um, tell you what if we just auto group it now? Yeah, once again, so we can clearly see the color. Right now, oops, slightly smaller and slightly narrower with each pass. Uh, maybe this part can still be like that. That looks alright. Actually, we also need this to be rotated a bit. Obviously, this Z width is lining up with our outline of the line, but we have to give it a little bit of space, ideally for the muscles. But well, I'm not all that bothered because the muscles here are going to be very thin, and if need be, we can adjust it when we come to the muscle face. And we can just use the move brush to bring some of these bits in. Okay, so again, let's see, let's just control mask inlet. What we do, we can okay. We're nearly there, and this was the goal today, is to do the pelvis and the tail. So as soon as we're done with the tail, we'll call it a night. Okay, another duplicate. The gizmo keeps blocking my bones, so I have to keep moving it away. And then do it like that. Let's just see. So yeah, we could do 3 or 4 more, and that'll be it. So Control W, and duplicate again. Rotate it slightly. Move the gizmo away, and now rotate it and move in place. Okay, and so I'm going to adjust the tapering from the top view once we have enough of these. Oops. Maybe just one more. As they taper, they also tend to lengthen a bit. So oh, we messed up in the middle. That's alright. The last few were not even grouped. Great. So, okay. Should I tell my daughter and my wife that you guys can hear them? I'm just worried they might say something very silly. Hopefully they won't. maybe you can't hear them anyway because I'm using these headphones are noise cancellation, so which means well, I don't know that got nothing to do with the mic, so you might still hear faintly what they're saying. My daughter just realized that, yeah, realized what I was saying and shut the door. So cool. Okay, so that's general bone structure for the tail. Oh, there's some artifacts here. Let me just move them out. Okay. I don't know. Maybe this one could be much nicer. All right. Let's see how it's looking with everything else. Frame. So that's it. We've added a pelvis and a tail. So in the next stream, hopefully I can do another session tomorrow, just for an hour or so. I'm going to, yeah, do these back legs, and then we'll move to the front with the scapula and the front legs in another session. And yeah, finally the skull, the main event, and my favorite part of any sculpt anatomy. Before we finish, how about we check our rib cage? I think it might be worth just moving these from top view because we did work quite a bit on this from the front and the side, but we forgot to check the top. And yeah, using the move elastic brush with a large number will help us quickly move large portions of it like this. Is that okay? Maybe further in here. Although nothing is final, like we will do another sense check um, at some point. We just use the move brush. The elastic can be tricky to work with sometimes. Just leave it at that. I don't want to, because that top view is just a guide. I don't want to rely on it too much. This is good. So you got this going on. Maybe this can be a little bit this way. The sternum maybe is a bit too flat as well. So when we do our final checks, I might give it a bit more volume. But remember, all of this is just a guide geometry for the actual sculpt, and also will be used. Like when we use the rib cage for the actual CFX part, we won't be using the exact one you're looking at. We're going to simplify it a lot because this exact geometry is going to cause a lot of issues with the calculations, and it's going to slow down our simulation quite a bit. So wherever possible, like with the spine and the rib cage, we will simplify the geometry as much as possible. So here I'm gonna move it like that. Move topological. So when you want to just move one rib cage at a time, always move topological. When you want to move the whole structure, just move or move elastic. Yeah. So yes, we are done for this session, and it's coming along pretty nicely. You know what else you can do when dealing with um, the skeleton? You can try this Madcap L Brown, which is, it does look a lot like a bone, and it just reads better. So I'm gonna leave it here, guys. Thank you very much for joining tonight, and I will try and do another session very soon. Until then, it's time to stop the stream, so I will go offline, end stream, and goodbye.